the palms. And repeat after me. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. Keeping the palms joined. With the palms down. All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Nice to see you all here. Thanks for showing up. Apparently we have a new year on the horizon. That's what I hear. Good to see all your, mindful intentions for the new year are starting early. My dear friend and teacher and master, Venerable Leisure, who recently passed, many of you know, as I talk about her a lot, especially recently, she used to always say, people are so funny around New Year's time. She said, everybody gets so excited for the new year. She said, but then what? Then what happens after that? She would always say the real practice is recognizing that every day you wake up, that's your new year. Every single day. And we're very conditioned in our, ways of living, stuck on this calendar that says, well, December 31st, new year, everything's brand new. Now, I hate to, shatter everything you're thinking right now, all your hopes and dreams and aspirations for the new year. But, I wouldn't be me if I didn't try to do that. How many of you are excited for like the new year tomorrow? Yeah, well, many of you are well trained. And that's why we don't allow water in the main hall. So, how many of you are excited for the new year? How about a week after that? 2 weeks after that? No, you're done in 2 weeks. I appreciate the honesty. All the time. So that's, that was really her lesson that she taught me years ago, was that we get so excited around, this was kind of her talk around the New Year time. We get so excited for this new year. And again, I don't want to shatter your New Year wishes and aspirations and intentions and goals. I hope you keep all of them, assuming they're healthy and positive and good for you. But try to view every single day you wake up as a new day. Because we often go into a new year thinking, okay, well, I'm glad 2022 is done. 2023 that's where it's all going to happen, right? We've all done that cycle and that routine before. And then midway through 2023, if we still make it, we don't know that we're all going to be here midway through 2023. Our life could be gone any moment. But we have these grand plans and grand visions and grand intentions and grand aspirations for this whole new year. Treat every single day that way. Because you could just be walking along one day and then boom, everything's done. And your life and the life of those you know and love around you are drastically different. So try to keep that intention, that excitement every single day when you wake up. That was one of the greatest lessons she taught me, was be excited every single day, the fact that you've just opened your eyes and you get to start, as if that day is a whole new year. And then if you get to go to sleep at night, if you've made it through that day, right? Like you survived 2022. This group, all of you here, have survived 2020, 2021, 2022, right? Well, still got 12 hours to go, right? But we've made it this far. When you wake up tomorrow, start each day brand new, filled with excitement. Go to sleep each night with gratitude and appreciation for just getting through that day. Because it's not been easy. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 10 years ago, this stuff, life was never easy. It's never going to be easy. But I understand deeply, as do most of us, that these last few years have been probably greater challenges than most of us have ever faced on a continuous scale. We've had moments and experiences throughout our lives that have been much more traumatic probably than what we went through the last 3 years, but it's an ongoing occurrence of 3 years of just so many people living in fear and worry and loss. I don't think we in our lifetime have experienced things like that for most of us. So just be grateful each day. So when it's January 10th and March 3rd and August 6th, wake up filled with excitement and gratitude. Not waiting for anything to end and anything new to start. Just start each moment. To me, that's what Buddhist practice has taught me. Start each moment filled with excitement. So with that, we'll go ahead and we'll start with the meditation practice. For those of you who are joining virtually, welcome. Thanks for being here. There's a chat box somewhere on your screen, so feel free to say hello, introduce yourself. When we get to questions, you can chime in there as well. For those who are maybe sitting for the first time, a couple things to tell you before we begin. Nothing's going to happen to you. Right? You're not going to float away. You're not going to have any mystical, magical experiences. The mind that races all day long is not going to shut off. Don't judge your practice. Meaning, don't ask yourself, is this working or not working? Are you doing it right or wrong? We're just going to sit. We're going to breathe. You're going to hear sounds inside the room, sounds outside. This is life. Life is filled with chaos. And this practice is learning to get quiet and still within all of the chaos. Posture, you just want to be comfortable. If you are on a cushion, often helps slide into the front third. Pushing the stomach forward allows the back to straighten. Same thing if you're on a chair or a bench, just trying to sit up straight, relaxing the shoulders. If you need to move during meditation, simply move. Movement doesn't make you a bad meditator, just means you have an itch. You're not trying to stop your mind. You're not trying to think nothing. I will guide us as we begin, and we'll settle into a little bit of silence. Most important, do not expect anything. We're just going to sit and breathe. And starting with the eyes closed, if comfortable, or slightly open. Mouth open or closed. We'll start with taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. And eventually, settle into a natural rhythm of the breath. Noticing the mind as it wanders, jumping from thought to thought. Start with gently guiding the attention, focus, to the stomach or chest. Breathing in, feel them rise. Breathing out, they fall. Simply continue this practice, observing sensation of breath. Expecting nothing but to sit and breathe. And as the mind wanders, lost in thought, recognize it, release that thought, return attention, focus to the breath. Breathing in. Follow breath in. Breathing out. Follow breath out. Letting go of expectations. Letting go of judgments from the practice. Just sitting. Breathing. Keeping the mind alert. Aware of each sound. Each thought. Each physical sensation. Yet concerned with nothing. but sitting, breathing. And with the body still, rested, and the speech quiet, aware of all sounds, and the mind learning to settle, know what it's like to just sit and breathe. Knowing with each breath, there's nothing else to do. Nowhere else to go. And no one else to be. Everything beautiful, exactly as it is. Sitting, breathing. And once again, taking 3 deep breaths, slowly. As you slowly open the eyes, slowly beginning to move. The most important with the practice of meditation is to recognize how you feel now, immediately after, Compare this to how you typically feel throughout your day. Recognize the difference, if there is one. Ask yourselves how you'd prefer to feel every day for the rest of your life. And realize however you feel now, if it's quiet, calm, and still, or a busy mind, racing mind, whatever you're sitting with at this moment, has nothing to do with anything I said. It's nothing to do with how we sit and hold the hands or cross the legs. It's nothing to do with the sounds around us or anything else for that matter. It's everything to do with your own mind and your own mind's reaction to an external condition. This is what the Buddha called pratitya samuppada, means dependent origination. This is the basis of the Buddha's awakening. The word Buddha simply means awakened. He was a human being, no different than any one of us, who began to understand why he suffered, why he got angry, sad, depressed, stressed, anxious. He began to understand the causal relationship of all phenomena. And what that means, very simply, for all of us, regardless of where you come from or what you believe in or where you think you're going, your whole life is filled with things that happen. You react. More stuff happens. More reactions. That's it. This practice is simply learning what it's like to respond to something quietly, peacefully, still. Because for most of us, the way you responded to the last 20 minutes is quite different from how you respond to everything else that's happening throughout your day. And so all we're working on is closing the gap to where the way you feel now is closer to how you feel always. Just as driven, motivated, productive, successful, whatever that means to you in your respective lives. But with a mind that's steady, clear, focused, distracted by nothing, disturbed by no one. It's not an easy practice. It's not necessarily fun. Meditation is not the escape that people might think it is. We spend most of our lives escaping from one thing to another. We've all built in enough escapes in our lives already. Don't let meditation be the next one. Meditation is direct perception into the present moment. It's the exact opposite of an escape. It is being with life as it arises and seeing it for what it is. An opportunity to experience present moment. Meditation is free. Buddhist practice is free. Sitting, breathing, becoming aware of what you think, what you say, and what you do. We spend so much of our time trying to control, manipulate other people, worried about what they say, what they think, what they do, hoping they do this, hoping they do that. This practice is setting all of that down and taking care of what you think and what you say and what you do. And if the things we think and say and do are coming from a place of loving kindness, compassion, joy, equanimity, then our lives and our world and the world around us will begin to change. And often things seem so overwhelming. And again, to go back to kind of what I started talking about at the beginning, is we tend to group things together as well, as if it was a whole year. And I get it. I mean, I guess by a calendar, it was a whole year. But what it also was a trillion individual moments of things happening. And that's what your life is going to be like going forward. Endless moments of things happening. So the practice is to become mindful and aware of what we are thinking, saying, and doing in each moment. And never knowing when that moment will pass, that experience will pass, that person will pass, that place will pass. So learning to have gratitude and appreciation for each moment, for me, is really embracing the Buddhist teachings around impermanence. That everything that we know it as it is today, at some point in time will cease to exist. And if you're new to Buddhism, this might sound kind of like, well, that sounds depressing. I mean, I get it, right? But whatever we want to label that, it doesn't change the reality that all conditioned phenomena come together for a period of time, as the Buddha taught, and then cease to exist. And we don't know how long until it ceases to exist. So with the teaching and practice of impermanence, this is where gratitude comes from. You learn to have love and compassion in each moment because you don't know when that moment or person or place or thing will be gone. Not always easy to do, but that's why we call it a practice. It's a daily practice. So with that, I'll pause. For me, I really just prefer to respond to questions, meditation, Buddhist practice, anything you're sitting with. And for those who are joining virtually, again, welcome. There's a chat box somewhere on your screen, so feel free to say hello, or if you have questions, thoughts, you can type them there, and I'll do my best to respond as well. So I'll use the rest of our brief time this morning for questions, meditation, Buddhist practice, anything you're sitting with.
During meditation, thoughts invariably arise, and some are pleasant, others are unpleasant, cruel, kind, etc. I know you're supposed to release all the thoughts and go back to breathing. Question I is, does the quality of the thoughts matter at all?
Good question. So the question is, just to repeat for those at home or those who didn't hear it, is, during meditation practice, you know that as your thoughts are arising, some are pleasant, and I'm paraphrasing what you said, some are unpleasant, some are cruel, some are kind, and the practice is to recognize the thoughts, and regardless of what they are, release them and come back to the present moment. But your question is, and I forgot the word you used, is there value, is there importance, does it matter? I think you said, does it matter what the thoughts are, right? The quality of thoughts, thank you. Yes and no. Yes, I tried to enlighten you. Yes. I do my best. I mean, I've gone a whole nother year without answering one of your questions. Do I need to do it again? So here's why I say yes and no. And again, for those who might be new, to back up very briefly, the practice of meditation is to recognize thoughts as they arise, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, kind, cruel, whatever the thought is, release the thought and come back to the present moment. Breath in, breath out. The example I always give, thought arises, hunger, release it, back to the breath. Breath in, breath out. Up, there's a thought again, hunger, release it, back to the breath. That's what I'm working on. What I don't want to do, thought arises, hunger. I'm hungry. What do I want to eat? I want a burrito. I'm going to go to Pokies. I want chips. I want cheese. I want sauce. So from one single thought of hunger, I'm thinking about a burrito, and now I'm hungrier than I was 5 minutes ago. This is what I don't want to do. I don't want to get lost in the thought, regardless of what it is, because that's just going to take me down this endless rabbit hole of thinking. And that's what we do all day long, and that's what drives us crazy. So that's why it doesn't matter what the quality of thought is. We want to release it, come back to present moment. Here's why the quality of thought matters. Because that's what you're thinking. So, not to put words, or in this case, thoughts in your mind, and believe me, you wouldn't be the only one, Normal, I'm just picking on you because you asked the question. If by some chance, someone in this room once in a while has quality or thoughts that are not so pleasant, are not so kind, are not so gentle, are not so loving. Anyone ever have an angry thought? Really? Come on, haven't you learned anything by now? So, if we recognize that many of our thoughts are unpleasant or unkind, that's in meditation still the practice of releasing, come back to the present moment. But when your meditation is done, and if you, after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, doesn't matter how long you sit, but if when your meditation is done and you kind of, go back to whatever you were doing, and then you have this recognition that, wow, I just sat there for 20 minutes with lots of angry thoughts. That's something to look at. But that has nothing to do with meditation. Meditation is just the mirror. It's allowing you to look at, wow, I'm a greedy, angry, you know what? I should change. If my thoughts are filled with greed and anger and ignorance, and as the Buddha taught, that's the three poisons. It's why we suffer so much. Constantly greedy, constantly angry, constantly ignorant, meaning we're ignoring reality and we roam around thinking our views are right. I'm sure, again, nobody in this room thinks their views are right, but that's how we tend to operate. So ignorance is thinking that your view is the correct view, completely ignoring the fact that other humans and animals and all other sentient beings have every right to their views. But we tend to think ours are most important. So when we reflect on our meditation practice and we realize, wow, I had a lot of angry, unpleasant thoughts, what are we doing in our lives every day? Or what have we been doing year after year after year that are perpetuating these thoughts? And can we shift them? Can we change them? So, and that's not a quick practice. For somebody who grew up filled with anger and hatred and rage, you don't just get rid of that in, 3 meditation practices. If you've been angry and pissed off for 20 years, it's going to take more than 20 minutes. But the first step is to recognize it. So, does that help? Yeah. Yeah.
So how does one hold on to an intention? So you mentioned having the gratitude practice, like in the morning you wake up and you're like, wow, I'm grateful to be alive. I'm gonna guess you didn't always have that. How did you develop that?
No. Yeah.
Because I've had that.
Good get. Yeah.
I'll say, this is my intention, and then I do it, and then suddenly I'm not doing it. So how do I hold on to it?
Don't be lazy. Sorry.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's all I hear.
Yeah. It's laziness.
Yeah, it is.
Does anyone, not just Robin in here, have unhealthy habits or patterns or behaviors? We sure are not lazy at those. And again, I'm also a Netflix, I could sit for 8 hours straight and watch some, whatever's, finish a whole season or whatever. But I'm amazed at how much the practice is diligence, right? This is really what the practice is. Great diligence, great effort, which is the last thing the Buddha said before he died. They were afraid when he died. This is 2,500 years ago, and they gathered around. He's 80 years old. And they said, oh no, who's going to teach us now? And his last words before he died, to paraphrase, were, I've left you the teachings. I've been teaching you for 45 years. Be a light unto yourself and strive on with diligence. In other words, don't be lazy. Right? And so this is the great practice, right? The Bodhisattva Samantabhadra of great effort, great diligence, is to work hard. We could watch Netflix very diligently, not even get up to pee for 8 hours straight. Even though there's a pause option, we still, So we all have the ability to be diligent and not be lazy. But it's so selective. So the real question, and again, my master always said, when you ask questions, don't look for answers, change your question. To me, the simple answer is don't be lazy. But then the next question would be, okay, well, how do I not be lazy? Because I can say don't be lazy. It's like, okay, that's simple. How's that going to work? Right? That's where the intention comes in of understanding the importance of what laziness does to us, what lack of diligence does to us. When we are not diligent about taking care of mental, emotional health, which is really what this practice is. I mean, Buddhist practice to me is just simply a recipe or a tool for mental, emotional health and well-being. It's just some dude taught it a long time ago, right? And when we are not diligent at taking care of mental, emotional health and well-being, we will suffer tremendously, right? The simple examples I always give other than Netflix are we're really diligent at brushing our teeth. We're really diligent at combing our hair, some of us, right? We have all these things that we're really diligent at. So we have the ability to be diligent, but our selection of where we apply that diligence, maybe we just haven't suffered deep enough yet to say, I'm just sick and tired of being angry, sad, depressed, miserable. And we keep thinking, oh, I'll be okay. We almost develop this level of like, yeah, I'm just used to being miserable, so I'll just maintain that. Sorry, folks, it's just not a way to live. It's not a healthy way to live. There are other ways to live. But that requires a complete shift of a lot of habits and behaviors that we've been doing for a long time. And that is not a quick undoing. So it's, yeah, I don't know if that's helpful. Yeah. Yeah.
I had I guess kind of an incident yesterday that kind of ties into being irritated by other people. And then you can riff on that. But I went to see the new Avatar with my sister. A little escapism, you know. And the row in front of us, there were two, I think they were like high school girls, I guess, like on their phones, like taking selfies, using flashes.
How dare they?
Exactly. And like, you know, luckily I was wearing a hoodie and I could like cut off some peripheral vision. So it didn't bother me at all. But I was also like, I've been at this a while. Like, what? You know, it irritated me that I was irritated.
Yeah.
And I actually debated like, you know, saying something in terms of like maybe there's 20 people behind me that are annoyed too. And, you know, I might be doing a social service.
It's a great job trying to justify your annoyance.
Thank you.
Yes. By being the savior to the 20 people behind you.
Yeah. Well, it was justifying me saying something.
Yeah.
Which I did. I chickened out.
Yeah.
I didn't feel the discomfort of
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And then I talked to my sister after it. Just like, oh, yeah. Like, she has a much higher tolerance for people's, you know, breaking social contracts.
Right. And she doesn't do this Buddhist stuff at all, does she?
She does some mindfulness stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing. One, congratulations on your progress. It has taken you many years to get to the point that you are annoyed at the fact that you were annoyed. Because the old Eric would have just been annoyed and would have said something, you know, that probably would have ended differently. So the first thing is congratulations on not saying anything and recognizing your annoyance. That's progress. The second thing is they were doing what they wanted to do, which was not what you wanted. You created a construct that this is a movie. There are rules, there are guidelines, there are things that you're supposed to do, to follow. Do you follow every rule and guideline out there in the world throughout your day?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I make an attempt.
That wasn't my question. Do you follow every rule and guideline out there?
No.
No. So are you any different than they are?
But I can justify.
You can justify a lot of stuff. I've known you a long time, right? Which is why I started with giving you props for, recognizing your annoyance, but you don't, and neither do they. But in that moment, you were having your element disrupted, and you didn't like that. And you even went as far as to make it seem like you were going to be the great savior for the people behind you and speak up on their behalf, which is very brave of you. Because I'm sure the 2 high school kids on their cell phones would have caused a lot of damage to you. They would have filmed it and put it on TikTok, and you would have been viral, the angry Buddhist guy at the movie theater. Hey, you told me I could riff on this, so I'm just going with it. So the reality is, we live our days with a construct of how we want things to be. Life never works that way. You could have, maybe there were no empty seats. I'm not sure.
No, it's pretty cool.
Okay, I was going to say you could have possibly moved, but you didn't. But you know what? You managed to get through it. And there's also a chance that when you were a 15-year-old kid, my guess is you weren't on a cell phone because, we're way too old for that. But you were probably not doing everything a 15-year-old kid should have done at a movie theater hanging out with his buddies. But now all of a sudden, you're old and oldish. And we're pretty much the same age, I think. I always forget. So, I'm talking to myself. Mark? Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something to what you're saying, Derek, right?
Yeah.
That you said a long time ago that's helped me sort of grasp conceptually what's going on here. Sort of the archetype example about Buddhist thinking and being present is getting cut off by someone on the road, and you're just like, and you're mad at that person for interfering with your day. But what you said is something that's really helped me over since I've come last, and that is like that person is suffering, like something's going on in their life where they need to go, and so because we tend to internalize things like it's about us, like why did that guy cut me off, versus like in their world you don't even exist, and so it's very easy to sort of bring it to yourself when it's really totally about their own struggles, and being present in that moment helps you think about them as much as you think about your own reaction too. So in that scenario, look, I'm no fan of people being on the phone either, but I get it. Like, something's going on where they need attention, these kids or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's their own struggles, to be welcome, be accepted, in the social hierarchy in their high school, whatever it is, that is so far beyond you or without, anyone around them. They're just, it's not even considered.
Definitely. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
I just wanted to add a question, follow-up question to his as well. What are your thoughts about if you just went over there pleasantly and just said, hey, I didn't want to come over here and say anything, but I just want to let you know that when you're on your phone, it's a little distracting for me.
Okay.
And then walk back and sit down.
Look at the words you just said. Hey, I didn't want to come over here and say anything, but here I am coming over and saying something.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you are going to approach a situation, which I really don't suggest you do, I would choose the words differently.
Okay.
I really didn't want to do this, but I did.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to do it, you wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
So if you're going to approach them,
Yeah.
just don't.
Okay. But if you were just to say, just want to let you know that when you're on your phone, it's a little distracting. I just want.
They know that. They don't need you to tell them that.
Well, they're in their own world and they're not.
They still know that.
Yours.
They don't care. They don't care about you.
Yeah.
At all.
I just believe that just being in the moment to be able to just express how you feel and just let them know.
No, you're not. But you're missing. The point here is you're in the moment.
Yeah.
The moment's just not going how you want it to.
Sure.
They're in their moment. Your
Yeah.
moment is there are two people there that are annoying and bothering you. That's the moment.
Yeah.
The effort to interact with them is then trying to control and change what's going on to meet your craving and your desire, which is why the Buddha says we suffer.
Yeah.
They're doing what they want. I'm not going to sit here and I guess I am giving advice, but what I was going to say is I'm not going to sit here and give advice to tell you how you can all respond in whatever way you want. What I'm suggesting, and then we're going to move on from this, what I'm suggesting is that in that moment that you are engaging with these two teenage kids who are on their cell phone,
Yeah.
recognize that in so many ways, whether you want to admit it or not, and you're not the only ones, right? We think we're better than they are. We think we know what's right. And we think it's our power, our authority, our age, our something to tell them what they should be doing. If we can do everything that we should be doing, then by all means, run around and tell everybody else how to behave in a movie theater. But we can't.
Would you say it's a passive approach to not do anything?
Say again?
Would you say that that would be a passive approach by not doing anything?
What I'm saying is they're not murdering people. They're two teenagers on their cell phone.
Mhm.
And if it bothers you that much, then you should really explore that.
So you're saying just let it go?
Well, can I add something to that?
Oh, sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, you're allowed to have a reaction to whatever.
Of course.
So on and so forth. The heart of the matter is, one, recognizing that you're having a reaction to something.
Yeah.
And then in that awareness, how you want to continue with that. What stories you want to attach to it.
Right.
What other story, what do you want to tell yourself and move on. So, we're not all gnomes. We can have a response, whether it's a
Sure.
driver or two teenage girls pissing you off because
Yeah.
on their cell phones. But be aware of, to Eric's point, I was aware that I was annoyed. I was annoyed because I was annoyed.
Yes.
And then not attach anything to it.
For sure. Yeah. The awareness, I think, is what's, as you're saying, is what's critical here is, am I aware of what this is doing to me? And, I'm kind of picking on the people that like brought this up or commented on it, but you're not the only ones who would get annoyed or bothered by that. There, majority of the people in this room, I'm sure, would also not like this situation. So the question is really, what does it do to you? Why is it? Let's forget about how to and what to say to these two teenagers. And let's explore, and this, Dave, I think is what you're saying, is what is it doing to me? Why is this bothering me so much? Why do I have this desire to have the world my way? And why is it that because it's going against what I want, I'm going to then backfall or kind of lean on these so-called guidelines and rules of a movie theater that is set up to say, this is how everybody should behave. Buddhist precepts: don't lie, don't kill, don't steal, no sexual misconduct, no intoxicants. How are we doing on those? How are we doing on those? How honest are we? How moral are we? How ethical are we? Right? How kind are we? How compassionate are we? This is the practice. This is one of millions of examples of things that go on every single day. And these are real examples of things that go on. Right? What does it do to us? And why does it really bother us so much? So we'll do one. Yeah, I know you're not changing the subject.
No, I just reflecting what you're saying.
Yeah.
So talking about greed. So
Yeah.
it's kind of greedy for me to think the world's going to revolve around me and my needs. Is that right? That's coming from.
It's not kind of greedy. It's absolutely greedy.
So it's, greed, anger, and anger.
Yes.
So the greed is everybody should do. I should be the center of their universe as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's greed.
That's the greed. Yeah. If we're reflecting on in this situation, which again, this is just one example, you all will have a million things happen today that are this example. Someone is going to do something today that is going to annoy you and bother you. Guaranteed. When I do a nighttime class, there's only a couple hours till you go to sleep. So there's a better chance that, less things will happen. But when it's in a morning class, you got all day. and it's New Year's Eve. So there are so many things that are going to piss you off today. And in these moments, that's where we recognize, okay, Buddhist teachings, we struggle, we suffer, discomfort, angst, dissatisfaction, dukkha, because of greed, anger, ignorance, the three poisons. So yes, look at each moment and explore, where is my greed in this situation? My greed in this situation is, I want the world to revolve around me.
I want to matter to you when I have no control.
Right. And that, if we are truly looking at just about every situation in our lives, and I don't mean this in a critical, and I'll close with this thought, I don't mean this in a critical, judgmental way, like, oh, I'm a terrible person, I'm so greedy. This is not why I bring this up. But if we look at every kind of conflict that we have in our lives, every problem, everything that bothers us, everything that annoys us, it typically comes back to us trying to cling to ourself, our views, our ego, and the way we think the world should be. And I'm not suggesting that you abandon those views. I'm not suggesting that you become the doormat and just allow the world to occur without engaging. And it's too late in class here now to go into, but this is Thich Nhat Hanh's teaching on engaged Buddhism, right? Again, I don't look at cell phone use in a movie theater as like a huge social justice issue. But when it comes to things that really matter, engage. Do not stay silent, right? Racism, sexism, not okay, right? I'm not suggesting, for those who are new to Buddhism, that we remain silent. Engage, but engage from a place of love and compassion and understanding, not from a place of my ego and myself and I'm right and you're wrong. So engage, but engage with kindness. So, well, as much fun as this has been, we're going to close. We'll join palms. May the benefit of this practice be transferred to all beings in all directions. May all beings be at peace. May all be free from suffering. May any merit gained from this practice be transferred to those who need it most. So a few quick announcements before you all head out. Thank you all for being here. My name is Jeff. I'm a Dharma bum. We opened up this temple about 16 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who show up. Those of us who lead, we're not monks, we're not nuns, we're not gurus, we're not masters, we're not teachers. We're not looking for students. We're just practitioners. We take our unenlightened views of Buddhist practice and share it with those who show up. Just about every night we have different practices going on. We have quite a large recovery sangha, so anyone battling addiction, drugs, alcohol, whatever it might be. We have classes going on just about every day for that. Family sangha, so parents, kids, toddlers, and teens. There's classes once a month there. Day of silence will be next Saturday. It's the first Saturday of the month. We have a 4-hour silent retreat. So if you've never done 4 hours of silence, I strongly recommend it. If 20 minutes of silence is absolute torture, then you should definitely try 4 hours. It's phenomenal. It actually makes a 20-minute sit a little more enjoyable. And it's not 4 hours straight. It's about 20, 25-minute sits that are broken up with some stretching, some walking, some cleaning, things like that. So that's the first Saturday of the month. Out of the ordinary, just returning, thankfully, since the pandemic, we're all looking forward to the weekly Thursday food redistribution, which will be back not this first Thursday, but January 12th. So Thursday, 5 o'clock. We started this program about 12 years ago. We would pick up food that would be wasted and thrown away, and we would gather, prepare food for about an hour, and then we drive downtown and pass it out to people who live on the streets and don't have much to eat. So as I always say, the practice is as much for you, for us, as it is for them. They typically will survive the day without our sandwich, but it's a really beautiful opportunity to kind of express some generosity and some kindness, and also reflect on how fortunate we are to have what we are when we, interact with people who are sleeping on the streets every night. So that's a beautiful practice every Thursday, 5 o'clock. Just show up, again, starting on the 12th. And then tonight will be our 17th annual Dharma Bum Temple New Year's Eve celebration. It'll be a wild, crazy party here at the Dharma Bum Temple. 7 o'clock, we'll do a vegetarian potluck. We'll hang out downstairs. 9 o'clock, I'll do some sort of history vision of the Dharma Bum Temple. And then about 11:30, we'll gather in the main hall and we'll do a silent meditation going into midnight. So we'll do about a 20-minute sit. Usually start at about 11:40, but we ask people to come around 11:30 just to settle in. So if you've never done a silent and or sober New Year's, this is your chance to get both of them done out of the way, and you'll make it. I promise. The whole night is not silent, just the last 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Some people come at 7 and they're home and smart and in bed by 9:30. Some come at 9. Some come at 11:30 just to sit and do a midnight meditation. So whatever you want, you're all welcome. Thanks all for being here. I do wish you a happy New Year, happy days ahead. May they all be joyful and peaceful, and may we stop pissing people off so much. So thanks.